Welcome, Fred.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council President and Council. I know it's been a long afternoon, so I'm going to try and be as brief and concise as possible. And Latanya, if you can hang on this first opening slide for a second, and we'll discuss when to move to the next slide. So as you know, the Oakland Department of Transportation is one of the newest city departments, initiated in 2015 and fully launched in 2017. ODOT was created with the idea that managing streets is about more than maintenance, and transportation is more than getting vehicles from point A to point B. 6 years since its launch, ODOT has become a national model for incorporating equity into transportation planning, policy, programs, and operations. From paving streets to emerging mobility, ODOT is working to center racial equity in every organizational aspect. And long neglected communities are now being more authentically engaged and collaborating with city government. The department fully staffed, exceeds 400 employees, and has an operating budget in excess of $85 million, and delivers a capital project program of approximately $55 million per year. The agency has jurisdiction over 800 miles of city-owned streets, including 1,100 miles of sidewalks, nearly 700 traffic signals, 37,000 streetlights, and over 300 miles of bike facilities. ODOT is guided by a strategic plan establishing an ambitious agenda for streets and the department. The plan sets forth a long-term vision for Oakland streets based on the city's core priorities of equity, safety, sustainability, and trust. And I think we can all proudly say that it was the first transportation strategic plan in the country to put equity at the forefront of decision-making. The department's launch was also timed in conjunction with the voter-approved infrastructure bond, Measure KK, which seeded the department with $350 million intended to address Oakland's frustration with the state of disrepair of streets and sidewalks. Okay, next slide, Tanya. Oops, I'm sorry. Yes, there we go. So fundamental to its success, ODOT has attracted and retained a team dedicated, values-driven public servants who have stepped up in the face of many obstacles. As a signal of ODOT's success, the City Council has consistently asked the department to take on more responsibility and be part of complex problem solving. With each successive budget cycle since its initiation, ODOT has grown, both with new positions in existing divisions or with new functions such as parking enforcement, school crossing guards, meter collection, the parking citation assistance center, and a new major projects division. And coming soon, after a year and a half of hard work, the abandoned auto unit will finally be transitioned from OPD to ODOT. 6 years after its initial launch, ODOT is 50% larger in budgeted headcount since its inception. Two assistant directors, Megan Ware and Ariel Espiritu Santo, who are with us today, manage 7 operating and administrative divisions within ODOT. Briefly, these divisions and responsibilities are as follows. Next slide, please. And let's hope that I'm in sync with the slide presentation. Our Safe Streets Division, which is comprised of the following sections: our Neighborhood Traffic Safety section, which is tasked with assessing traffic safety issues identified by the public based on safety history and socioeconomic factors. Our Complete Streets Maintenance section, our Bike and Pedestrian Planning section, which is tasked with advancing and improving Oakland's bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure to promote equity and sustainability. Our Major Corridor Multimodal Operations section, which is charged with managing vehicle flow by engineering and maintaining the city's 700 plus traffic signals. Streetlights section, which provides maintenance and repair of the 37,000 city-owned streetlights, and our crossing guard operation. Next slide, please. Our Great Streets Maintenance Division is responsible for paving all of Oakland's neighborhood streets And of course, something that's high on everyone's priority now after the rain, filling potholes and installing and repairing over 1,000 linear miles of sidewalk. Next slide, please. Our Great Streets Delivery Division, which is responsible for planning, designing, implementing, and managing capital transportation infrastructure projects via 6 sections. Our Complete Streets Design section, which prepares design and construction documents for capital improvement projects at all major investments, such that all major investments will transform the right-of-way to encourage and facilitate walking, hiking, and transit service. Our Traffic Capital Project section, which manages the preparation and design of construction documents for capital improvements. Our Pavement and Sidewalk Management section, which provides safe, well-maintained local transportation network for every neighborhood. These are the folks that deliver the 3-year and 5-year paving programs. Our Survey Division, Structures and Emergency Response section. These are the individuals, men and women, who have been extremely active during the storm. They deal with landslides and seismic retrofit issues. And then our Planning and Project Development, which basically encompasses all the planning within the department. Next, very important division, Parking and Mobility Management Division. It's responsible for managing the city's on and off-street parking system, including non-sworn vehicle enforcement activities. Its 4 sections are as follows: parking enforcement, mobility management, meter collections, and the parking citations assistance center. Next slide, please. Okay, I am a little bit out of sync. Our Funding and Administration Division, which supports the department-wide administrative, fiscal, and grant functions. Our capital funding team supports the cradle-to-grave funding of capital projects that identifies grant opportunities and oversees application development. Next slide, please. Our Major Projects Division. Our Major Projects Division is the newest division within ODOT. It was developed to lead the planning, design, and delivery of large transformative capital transportation projects, beginning with reconnecting West Oakland, Chinatown, and downtown to the Jack London Square waterfront area. Next slide, please. Our right-of-way management team ensures that work done in the public right-of-way adheres to the city's highest standards, and that construction projects that bring housing and jobs to the city are implemented per safety standards. Next slide, please. And then our Race and Equity team. Our Race and Equity team models our commitment to developing racial equity by engaging in capacity building, facilitating activities and dialogue, identifying opportunities to improve racial equity outcomes, both internally and externally to OCDOT. Next slide, please. Let's stick on this slide for a second. Why and how we do this work. So OCDOT's ambitious strategic plan recognized that the department should focus on the needs of the most vulnerable, helping tackle issues like high transportation costs related to automobile dependency, the burgeoning climate crisis, and more importantly, the disproportionate severe injuries and fatalities from traffic collisions. OCDOT developed its plans, program, and projects by pairing a data-based, evidence-based approach with community engagement that emphasized the priority of partnerships with and humility toward communities that have been historically underserved and systemically excluded. The department worked hard at meeting those communities where they are and breaking down barriers to have their voices heard. Importantly, and I can't say this enough, our North Star in this work has always been equity. We have sought to make equity part of every process that we participate in, both internal and external. Ultimately, we work toward a vision where 4 main values are advanced. Equity, delivering services that remove barriers that systemically impact specific communities. Safety, no one should be severely injured or killed just moving from place to place. Sustainability, supporting affordable and efficient ways of getting around that don't impact future generations. and trust. Big problems will be addressed only when government and the community it serves to build a foundation of trust, especially in communities where government has been a contributing factor in sustained inequity. Next slide, please. Move past this one. Next slide, please. Okay, this is important, especially for new council members. We're often asked how to contact us. And I know you're going to have a presentation after this from Oak 311 or 311. We're often asked, what's the best way to report a problem? I know sometimes it seems like a black hole, but the true answer is Oak 311. And Oak 311 is here to help with requests ranging from routine maintenance to urgent infrastructure issues. So with over 100 requests per month, Oak 311 helps us log, track, access, prioritize, and assign requests. Next slide, please. I'm gonna sort of go off track here or go off the slide presentation track and talk about where the department has been successful, where we've succeeded, initiatives and accomplishments of the department. So these are some of the things that we are most proud of. Just briefly, we've developed and delivered on award-winning paving plans that use equity to direct paving resources. Council previously adopted a 3-year, and in December of 2022, adopted an ambitious 5-year paving plan. We've developed a rapid response protocols to address severe and fatal injuries, including deploying an innovative street design treatments. One of the things we're most proud of is having developed an interdepartmental Safe Oakland Streets program, along with OPD and the City Administrator's Office, which is a citywide initiative to prevent serious and fatal traffic crashes and eliminate crash inequities on Oakland streets. We have a nationally recognized adopted bike plan update to set a new standard for engaging historically underserved communities in modal planning efforts. We have been leaders in emerging shared mobility, particularly with respect to equity and accessibility. We have developed programs and projects like Paint the Town to lift up Oakland culture, support belonging in our community. We've developed a major projects team to deliver over $500 million of transportation infrastructure projects along the waterfront. And as I mentioned previously, transitioning the abandoned auto detail from OPW to DOT as a council directive aimed at reimagining law enforcement service. Next slide, please. Yep. Next slide, please, Latonya. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide. So I went through some of these. I'm sorry I wasn't keeping track. Okay, let's talk about what our top initiatives are, or DOT's top initiatives as we move into 2023. I think this is important. One, we briefly touched on the Safe Oakland Streets Initiative, which is an innovative program designed to prevent severe and fatal traffic crashes and eliminate inequities on Oakland streets in partnership with city agencies and community partners. Severe and fatal injuries, traffic-related injuries, continue to disproportionately occur in Oakland's priority equity communities, specifically related to our high injury network. That's 6% all Oakland streets where 60% of severe and fatal crashes occur. Number two, delivering on capital program commitments despite extremely high vacancy rates. ODOT is currently experiencing a vacancy rate hovering around 30%. This high vacancy rate makes project delivery of our core services extremely challenging. Specifically, ODOT has been successful at securing millions of dollars in capital funding. And these funds are contingent upon strict delivery deadlines. This is not an Oakland problem per se. It's one that impacts public agencies across the country. And we're continuing to innovate and work with our internal partners, hiring partners. Hopefully will produce better results in 2023. Number three, building capacity among small local business, enterprise, and minority firms to produce improved contracting. I don't think this comes as any surprise to any of you. There is a need for improved contracting policies and procedures for both construction and professional services, and ultimately an adopted disparity study with accompanying policies is needed to set clear goals for bidders to achieve. However, there's an opportunity now. What can we do now? There's an opportunity now for improved contracting policies and procedures for both construction, professional services with local contractors immediately. And with our partners, with our amazing partners in DWES and workforce development, we're committed to implementing strategies to increase competition and decrease the number of non-responsive bidders that do not meet various city requirements. How? 4 points: educating bidders on the local and small local business program requirements. 2, doing targeted outreach and providing forecasts of contracting opportunities so that small local firms have months and months of advanced knowledge of contracts that are coming out of our department and have the ability to team with larger firms. Number 3, providing technical assistance, working with non-responsive bidders on understanding where their bids failed to meet the requirements so that they can jump back into the pool and become more successful the next time, understanding where they were non-responsive and chance for corrective action. And 3, assessing project delivery methods. ODOT is assessing different project delivery methods, how we can deliver projects in a manner on the specific scale and scope of a particular project that might support more opportunity for SLBEs, very small local business enterprise. And then lastly, and this is important, continue to emphasize data-driven and equity-based outcomes in prioritizing project delivery problem statements. One common theme that I've had and we have as a department is equity. As we transition within the city in leadership, continued adherence to equity-focused principles are vital to ensure Oakland's marginalized communities continue receiving limited infrastructure. From paving plans to emerging mobility, ODOT is working to center racial equity in every organizational aspect, and long neglected communities are now being more authentically engaged and collaborating with government. It is vital that ODOT maintains its overriding fundamental principles moving forward. The city would be well served to build upon the data-driven, evidence-based approaches that we have put into place to allocate inherently limited resources. And last, these systems are delivering improvements to the communities in need and are being replicated by cities around the country. And that's it for my formal presentation. Tanya, can you go to the last slide as to where I can be contacted? And I do apologize for going out of order. This is a slide of where I can be contacted. And I just want to add to the new council members, one thing that we have in place is bi-monthly meetings with each council office and other meetings as needed, project specific. And I would offer monthly meetings, perhaps for the first 6 months or so, to your offices to help you get up to speed with all things ODOT and for any questions that you may have. I guess that's about it on my end. I have my 2 amazing assistant directors, Megan Weir, Ariel Spiritu Santo, here alongside, well, virtually alongside myself to answer any questions you may have. And thank you for your time. I appreciate it.